Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to episode 373 of the Spearhead Sundays podcast. I'm your host, Lewis Spears. I'm happy to be here. I'm in Perth. I'm in my hotel, coming at you live from the hotel. It's my last week here in Perth. LewSpears.com if you want to get your tickets. Something's happened. Tickets are going crazy here in Perth, and I assume the other cities as well. So it's time to get them if you don't have them yet. I think I have 3 shows left here in Perth, and dude, let me tell you, the show is killer. This year's show is so good. It's not finished. I'm still tweaking it and I'm still figuring it out. There's still a lot of things to change and improve upon and add and remove. But dude, if last night's show was any indication of the quality of what's been written, fuck, it was good, dude. It was such a good show, such a good audience. One thing that I've noticed big time about my my audience, and we've always kind of known this, but it was even more prevalent at this show, is the sex workers like Spears. I've really started to notice a trend at all of my shows, and the e-girls and the sex workers, they love Spears. Every single woman in my front row, and I had a long front row, because we added in extra chairs, we were sold out. Every single woman was some form of sex worker. And they didn't know each other. It was like different groups, but each woman in the group, sex worker. So I don't know if that says something about the type of comedy I create, or if that says something terrible about the state of the world, where either I'm attracting these women, or just if you're a young girl, that's the only way to pay rent. It's either me or the economy. I'm thinking potentially it's both. But I'm just happy to be an ally, because one thing about these sex workers, they're cashed up. They'll buy the merch. And that's what we like to see. What I really want to do is I want to tailor my audience and my demographic, and the people that I'm getting at my shows. Is I just want cashed up minors and sex workers. Now, I mean cashed up minors as in people who dig in holes. I don't want to be mixing minors and sex workers. That's some Jeffrey Epstein shit, and I feel like that's not a good long-term plan. You might have a bit of fun for a couple of months on an island, but I feel like it's not in everyone's best interest. So we're gonna shelve that idea for now. Though I hear it's quite lucrative. Anyway, it's Australia Day here today. I'm trying not to be too loud because I heard whoever's in the room next to me having a shower when the shower turned on. So I imagine they're receiving this episode of the show directly into their room. I'm trying not to record it too late, but I was kind of sitting here just very exhausted. I said I was going to record this on a Thursday, and I didn't, and that was a huge mistake, because now I'm really tired. If I did it on a Thursday, I was like, I would have been a lot more high energy. But you know what? I wouldn't have seen all of the amazing things that I had seen. I went out in Perth filming with Mr. Sickant, as he is known. He's the guy who does those vox pops in the street, where he'll wear like a contentious opinion on his chest and talk to strangers. Dude, it was one of the funniest shoots I've ever done. I don't know how it's going to be edited, because they're doing that. It's not going to be out for a couple of weeks, but dude, some of the people that we met were fucking nuts. We met 2 Irish boys on a tandem bike, just rolling around, fresh off the boat from Ireland. 20-something-year-old Irish boys, talking about all of the amazing reasons why you should hit your children. The kids looked about 21. I was saying, no, you probably shouldn't hit your kids. They were saying, no, it actually makes for a really good human. And then I said, oh, well, how would you even know about this? You're so young, you've never been a father. And this young kid said, I am a father. And I said, you're fucking lying to me. And then he pulled out a photo of him and a little 2-year-old. And then his friend said, yeah, but you don't see him. And he went, yeah, but I am his father. And he goes, yeah, but you don't see him. You left him in Ireland. So it would appear that absent fathers love hitting their kids if they were able to, because, I mean, geographically speaking, that guy would have trouble smacking his kid that he doesn't see, you know? You would have to, if hitting your kids was that important to you, even though you're an absent father. I mean, can you get that on Airtasker? Can you jump online and pay Pay some undocumented migrant like $50 to smack your kid for you? Probably not. I feel like that'd be a violation of the terms of service of Airtasker and quite unethical. So yeah, I don't. I feel like I maybe won that argument just by the nature of who I was and who they were. Very funny to see like like a teen father who abandoned his kid in another country, being like, "What? I got hit and I turned out fine." And if I were to parent my child, which by the way I don't, I know the best way to do that, and it is violence, which I would inflict if I were not an absent father, which I am. Who else do we meet? There was, of course, the classic Australia Day debates raging on here in Perth, which I'll get into later. So there was a bit of that. Met an absolute fucking nutter of a 60-year-old man who was just screaming into the microphone about how Combank or Westbank or something owed him $1 million in compensation because of some kind of car accident. And he wouldn't tell us how the car accident happened. And I was like, how the fuck does a bank end up causing a car accident? We get talking to this guy and he's screaming the entire time, complete nutter. And then this dude in a wheelchair rolls up, an electric wheelchair. He goes, "This is my mate John, this is my mate John." Then they start arguing with each other. They don't seem to be very good friends. And then they're both yelling into the microphone. And then I'm trying to get out of this guy, why does the bank owe you $1 million? Because he was saying, they owe me $1 million. I'm entitled to that fucking money. And I've met the CEO of that bank and I told him to wear lingerie. And I was like, I don't understand how these are connected, but I'm loving the Perth culture that I'm surrounded by. And I'm trying to get out of him, why is he owed so much money by this bank? He wouldn't tell me. But then about 10 minutes later, he starts telling us about how he used to catch bank robbers for banks. And I said, how did you do that? Were you a police officer? And he said, no, just a private citizen, mate. I did it as a hobby. I'm like, how many bank robberies have you seen and prevented? He goes, mate, dozens. So I am assuming, I don't know this for sure, but I'm assuming that the guy, must have chased down a bank robber who had just left the bank with a bunch of cash, and really injured himself in a car crash, stopping the robber as some kind of anti-bank robber volunteer or something. So that was an interesting character. Who else did we meet? I'm not going to spoil it. It was a bunch of stuff for the videos, but it was good fun. It was good fun. And right now it's Australia Day. I don't like Australia Day. I think I want to like it. That's where I land on Australia Day. I really want to like Australia Day, but there's something so wrong about the day that we choose to tell everyone we should be celebrating it. If you don't know, right? Australia Day is the 26th of January every year, and it commemorates the convict ships full of slaves rocking up and arriving at what was not known as Australia at that time, right? It wasn't when it was discovered by the Dutch. It wasn't when before that, 60,000 years before that, when whoever the indigenous ancestors were discovered it. It's when the convict ships rocked up from England. The English convict ships rocked up full of prison guards, some captain, and a bunch of white people in chains that probably committed crimes that don't amount anywhere near to the punishment of being kidnapped from the land and your family and shipped off to an open-air prison where you have to work until you die. And then after they arrived, they killed all of the indigenous people and began a great genocide on them, right? It's just not a day that I want to celebrate. That's an English victory. Do you know what I mean? Like that's a great moment in colonial Britain's history. We got another country. We got rid of some more natives, you know? That was like an economic win for the Empire of Britain. It's not an Australian thing that should be commemorated or celebrated because it wasn't Australia yet. It's not what the country was known as. There were no Australians there other than the indigenous people who were fucking murdered. And all of the white people that ended up becoming Australian were all slaves, prison convicts. And I feel like it's actually not very patriotic at all to celebrate that. Here's what I think Australia Day should be. We need to get the British flag off our fucking flag. All right? That empire is dead in the water, died hundreds of years ago. They don't do anything for us. The last major decision they made was to, against our will, get rid of one of our own prime ministers. The Attorney General got rid of Gough Whitlam. Right? They don't do anything for us. The royals don't visit anywhere near as often as they should. And even when they do come, they don't fucking do anything. It's just a PR press thing. The royals don't even do anything for England. I mean, at the very least, the royals are a tourist attraction in England. I went and saw Buckingham Palace. You know, that probably made them $10, right? I bought food around that area. That's a bit of tax revenue for the British Empire. But in Australia, they do nothing for us. They do absolutely nothing, all right? And let's be real, China's coming. We need, if anyone's flag should be on our country's flag, it should be China's. And no, that's not just because I'm viral on Xiaohongshu. I just don't, like, I want to celebrate Australia Day, but I want to celebrate something Australian about it. And I don't think there's anything Australian about a bunch of British slaves being kidnapped and taken over to a place they'd never been to before, miserable, dozens of them dying on the way, and then the actual Australians that live there, the Indigenous people, getting murdered. Like that. I don't think that's something worth celebrating. I don't think that says anything about our Australian spirit. I don't think that it's right to commemorate what was essentially a dictatorial prison government. Right? Even if you take out, let's say there were no Indigenous people here ever, right? Even if it was just white people, I still wouldn't want to celebrate it on this day because that was a day that a bunch of people were fucking kidnapped and taken from their land and arrived in a new land and were made to be slaves, right? If there were no Indigenous people, which I know a lot of you would be happy about if you're if you're upset about what I'm saying, I still wouldn't want to celebrate this day because it's an English thing and it's also just like a horrific moment in the white part of Australia's history where white people are the victim as well. Right? With that said, I think what we need to do is we need to leave the British Empire. We need to become our own fucking actual country. We pick a new flag. We can keep the Southern Cross. I like that. That's Australian. Maybe we put the Indigenous flag. Maybe we work something. Maybe we do a whole new flag. We figure something out. We sign a treaty with the Indigenous people, like just about every other prosperous Western nation has done with their Indigenous people. America has done it. New Zealand's done it. So many other countries have signed treaties with their Indigenous people and figured out something together, right? Bring them back into the fold. And whatever day we secede from the British monarchy and the British Empire, that's Australia Day. That's fucking Australian. All right? That's not Australian. That's what I think being Australian should be. But what is really Australian is just being a fucking cop and being a crab in a bucket. And whenever anyone talks about doing anything exemplary, you actually stomp them down and say, why would you try to be different? Why would you try to change anything? Don't rock the boat. Of course, we shouldn't be our own country. We don't deserve it. That's something that Americans do, and we're not as good as them. We need to stay under the heel of the British monarchy that doesn't do anything for us. That's, much more Australian. Is that crazy? Am I fucking crazy for wanting an actual Australian reason to celebrate Australia Day? Because all these people that I posted about this and in my comment section, all these people that are pro keeping the day the same are just listing wins for the British Empire. It's that's not us, dude. That's the fucking Brits. I definitely disagree that Australia Day shouldn't happen. I think we need an Australia Day. I think that a healthy level of patriotism is very important, and we should actually appreciate the many amazing things about Australia. I just don't think we should do it on this day because I think it brings up unbelievable amounts of pain and trauma for Indigenous people But also, there's not many things to celebrate on Jan 26. Like, I don't understand why we've picked it. Like, there's not, like, I think we should have an Australia Day, but there's not enough there's more reasons to change the date than there are to keep it for me. Like, what is the most compelling reason to not change the date is because it would be a fucking hassle. And that's a good reason. It would be quite annoying to change it. We'd probably have to have a fucking referendum. That'd be annoying. We'd have to deal with the discourse. It'd be like Australia Day every day for months, where everyone's arguing about what should happen. That would be annoying for sure. But I think it should happen because I just think that, like, there's nothing that excites me about the date that we picked, and I want it to be exciting. I want it to be a thing that we look at and fucking celebrate. You know, like, yeah, we did that together. Not, oh, my ancestors came over as slaves and indigenous ancestors were murdered. Like, that to me is what that day represents. Not Australia Day, Jan 26, right? I think that's where people get confused, where, like, I disagree. I don't think Australia Day represents all of this horrible shit that I've been talking about. I think the date, Jan 26, does, because that's what happened. Like, it's undeniable that that is what happened on that date. And we've gotten a lot better, and we're working on improving relations and lives for Indigenous people. And I don't think that current white people should feel shame or bad because they didn't do it. But that doesn't mean that we should ignore the fact that the damage that was done to Indigenous people, its effects are still rippling right now. You know? Like, the stolen generation is in living memory. There are people alive today that were stolen. Right? It hasn't gone away. That's super, super recent, and it will still take generations to overcome that, because that's how human beings work, you know? But anyway, I digress. I really want to celebrate Australia. I want to have a fucking Australia Day with a reason, or on a date that makes me go, fuck yeah, we did that. And for me, that would be finally accepting that actually, no, we are good enough to be our own country. We are fucking powerful enough and independent enough to stand on our own 2 feet, and we deserve sovereignty and agency over ourselves. Let's get their flag off our flag. Let's not be under the heel of a British Empire that does nothing for us. That's what I think. Am I wrong? I don't think I'm wrong. Anyway, it's been a fucking civil war today. I do like being in Perth because it's exciting on Australia Day. Because I think that's another thing, like, especially in Perth, dude, in the city, because there's lots of Indigenous people, there's lots of wealthy white people, and those two groups, I don't know if you've heard, they clash. Being here in Perth, because it's the second time I've been here on Australia Day in Perth, it's just a fucking war zone. Like, no one is having fun. At least in the city. I know there's, like, most people are actually just having, like, a nice quiet barbecue or a day off at home, right? Obviously. But, like, the people that go out on Australia Day or Invasion Day, bro, no one's having a good time, right? There's 3 types of people. I'm the first type, which is just like, I don't really care. I'm going to enjoy my day off, but I don't feel compelled to go out. Like, Jan 26 doesn't make me feel patriotic. So I'm like, I don't have a compelling enough reason to go out and celebrate because I understand the history of the date that was chosen. And it doesn't inspire patriotism like many other things in this country and many other days in this country do or would, right? So I'm just like, I'll enjoy my day off. I might go for a walk, right? That's most people, all right? The only other 2 people are the Invasion Day people, who they're out there protesting, they're marching, they're angry, they're upset. But at least They are hopeful for change, and they are trying to do something that they think is good that will make the country better, right? That's type 2. They're not having a good day, but the people having the worst day, type 3, the people that go out for fucking Australia Day, mate, and they're decked out in the flag, and they've got their hats, and they're draped in flags, and they've got Southern Cross all over them, and they're like celebrating Australia Day at people. And it's not, it's so antagonistic and angry and bitter. And because I see them walking around, and you probably see them as well, right? More of a thing in Perth and I imagine Darwin, other places than Melbourne or Sydney, but like in Perth, big time. It's like 50-year-old white people and then like 18, 19-year-old kids just wandering around in groups, wearing the get-up, just fucking daring you to say something so that they can go off at you. It's really abrasive. It feels hostile, and it's not patriotic, and it doesn't celebrate Australia. It's like, I'm going to do this to piss off everyone else that would hate it. It's like, dude, you're not having a good time because you're wandering around just worrying about getting punched and thinking about starting fights and arguments. Like, you're just being a fucking shit bloke to be around. And I saw them everywhere, and they were all arguing with strangers about this or about that or Australia Day or fuck off. You know? I'm sitting in the middle of the street doing my pages. There's a street preacher talking about Jesus, this and that. This guy on a scooter starts driving down the street going, yeah, fuck off, mate. There's nothing racist about Australia Day, you black dog. Like screaming that. There's nothing racist about Australia Day, you black dog. Screaming that shit at an Indigenous man as he speeds away on his scooter. Indigenous bloke wearing the fucking Aboriginal flag and the full get up. He's like, you fucking white dog, you racist fucking dog. Then the street preacher gets involved and like, God, Jesus preaches. Both of them go, shut the fuck up. Poor Jesus. It wasn't his day today. At least they agreed on something, hey? Fuck. Yeah, it's just chaos outside right now of just people angry. Like really like, and I think that's like a great reason to change the date. Like, it doesn't make anyone happy. You know, like, it's not a celebratory day. And there is an argument to be made that no one will ever be happy. Like, when we were doing the street interview stuff, we were talking about this with some Indigenous people, and I was like, do you ever see like a day that we could celebrate something called Australia Day, like a date? And both of them were adamant, no fucking way, absolutely not. And you know, lots of people do feel like that, and there is a big group of people where if we were like, okay, we're going to move it from Jan 26 to this date, which is an objectively great thing that Australians did, there would still be a lot of people that would be upset about the concept of Australia Day. But I think that's silly, and I think that's pessimistic. I think that we can celebrate a country while acknowledging its issues. I think that's important, actually. I think that's very important. I mean, that's important for you personally. You know, like if you wander around only thinking about the things that are wrong with yourself, you'll just be sad and hate yourself. If you can't look inwards to try to understand and really see and be aware of and grateful for things that are good about you, if you can't do that, you won't be able to be happy. You can't be happy with something that you borderline consciously ignoring the good things about. And so that's what I feel is I feel like we could pick a better date, and we should celebrate Australia Day. But this day, as someone who wants to celebrate it, just doesn't make me feel very patriotic. Anyway, dude, I've got some great news from the front. All right, from the shows in the trenches. You know how I said last episode I was talking about how I've gone viral on Xiaohongshu, and last episode or my last week of shows, 15 Chinese people showed up to one of my show, didn't speak any English. It was just a coincidence. They weren't there for me, mate. Tides are turning. Last night, a couple of English second language, Chinese as fuck motherfuckers came to my show in Perth. All right, and I haven't seen any Chinese people in Perth, so that I think I got 100% of them here. Like, dude, I'm gonna fill an arena in Sydney. Fuck. I'm so funny, dude. That's hilarious. You're welcome. I'm not kidding though, dude. This guy came up to me, Chinese guy, comes up to me in the meet and greet, and he goes, "Oh, I'm from Xiaohongshu," and said it perfect, right? And I was like, "Oh yeah," like I thought he was joking. And he goes, "Yeah." I was like, "Wait, really?" And he goes, "Yeah, I found you on Xiaohongshu." I'm like, "You'd never heard of me before?" And he said, "No." And I'm like, "Fuck, that's... Oh, actually, I took a video with him, didn't I? Where's my phone?" I was so shocked by it. I had to document it. I want to post it, but I'll play it on here. Where is it? Because fuck, I was just like so taken aback by it. Where is it? So this is after last night's show. Here we go. What's your name? All right, I'm here with, what's your name? George. George, where did you find me? Xiaohongshu. That's right. Yeah. Glory to the People's Republic of China. It's working. And he wasn't kidding, dude. Chinese as fuck. Heavy accent. Brother, I'm telling you, dude, it's an untapped market. I'm going to be famous on Red Note. Glory to the People's Republic of China. I really regret stopping recording there because he then did tell me that he goes, I also have daddy issues. So it is still definitely the gay Chinese community. But it is a community nonetheless. That's my new audience, man, is just OnlyFans girls and gay Chinese men. Two of probably the most cashed up demos in Australia. I gotta up my ticket price, dude. I gotta start charging in yuan. Oh, it's so funny, man. You know, because Chinese New Year is coming up, there's like decorations and shit that are all around Perth. So I was just walking around and I saw like these big, you know, the Chinese red dragons. I just took a selfie in front of them, put it on Xiaohongshu. Fuck, they love that. They were like, "Dude, how does this guy know about our Chinese New Year? This guy, this foreigner is great." I love that they call you foreigners. You can't. I can't say that. Like if I said that to them, they like that'd give off hell racist vibes. But if Chinese people can just say it to, "Oh, you're a foreigner." See how racist that sounded in my accent? "Oh, you're a foreigner." See, that sounded even more racist. I can't do a Chinese accent. I probably shouldn't try. I might have to stop there. Dude. Speaking of could be interpreted as very racist. Elon's salute. Honestly, what do you think? I tell you what, this is what Elon needed. This would have fixed him right up. He needed some magic mind, okay? The most amazing nootropic mental wealth drink on the market. This is something that I've been having for a while, and they are sponsoring this episode. And I tell you what, if I was having Magic Mind before doing any victory political rallies, I probably wouldn't throw out a Sea Kyle. I don't think that has anything to do with the Magic Mind, but I feel like if I thought it was a good idea and then I had a Magic Mind, I would then be able to understand that perhaps that was not the best look, thanks to the amazing nootropic properties of the Magic Mind drink. This is a great thing, guys. You guys know I really care about brain fog, fatigue, mental clarity with my health journey and everything. And I'm very, very sensitive to change and what makes me feel good, what makes me feel sharper. Magic Mind makes a huge, huge difference. There's no caffeine in it. It doesn't give you that buzz or the jitteriness of coffee. It just kind of helps me lock in. One thing I've noticed is when I have Magic Mind, I can read for hours, I can edit for hours, I can write for hours. When I don't have it, I struggle more than when I'm on it. It's really, really, really interesting. I have it with coffee. That seems to make a bit of a positive difference. And dude, I'm telling you, man, it really, really, really works. And I'm happy to have them as a sponsor of the show. You get 45% off the Magic Mind bundle with my custom link, magicmind.com/LouSpearsJan. That's linked in the description and the top comment. And you know what else? They're so confident in what they've built, they will refund 100%, no question asked, for 100 days after buying. They ship internationally to 65 countries, and they're in stores too. They also donate 5 cents for each bottle sold to mental health charities that help US homeless communities, which is great. So grab some Magic Mind. They support the show. I use it every single day, and I really, really, really like it. It's making a big difference for me. So thanks to Magic Mind for sponsoring the show. Support the brands that support what we do. And give yourself some mental clarity with their performance shot at magicmind.com/LouSpearsJan. I think he knew what he was doing. I don't. And if you think that he doesn't, I just don't think you can accidentally do that twice. Like turning around and doing it, I don't think you can do that twice. I think he did it maybe as a troll, maybe for attention, maybe to create a shitstorm. I think he definitely likes creating shitstorms. But I also think, like, dude, regardless of whether he knew what he was doing or not, he hasn't said that he didn't do it. Have you noticed this? Like, he hasn't. Like, if there was video of me doing that shit twice, I would come up and be like, oh, yeah, hey, guys, just to be clear, obviously, it wasn't a Nazi salute. He kind of came out on Twitter and was like, can you fucking believe these guys? They think I did a Nazi salute. And everyone's like, yeah, I mean, we watched the footage. It definitely looks like that. I just think that a guy who is very, like, he's a billionaire, he would have media training, he does political rallies all the time now, he's been a public figure for decades, he is very interested in German political parties, specifically much more right-leaning political parties than there have been previously. Well, not too previously. Once you go back to the 1940s, then the party that they want now isn't that right anymore. But I don't think he's that dumb. I don't think he's that dumb, and I don't think he's that autistic either. I think that he knew what he was doing. He did it twice, and I don't know why. That's where I stop. I'm like, I don't know if he did it to signal to racists, if he did it to troll journalists because he thought it would be funny, if he genuinely is just that autistic that he had no idea what he was doing. I don't think that's true. I think he knew what he was doing. I think he was doing it, and I don't know. It's not enough for me to just call him a Nazi, but it does kind of like, best faith interpretation, he's a fucking idiot sometimes, right? And he's a goofy, lovable, super genius in some areas, but in most other areas, he's an absent father fucking idiot moron who has no idea what human beings should act like, and he's an alien, right? That's the best faith interpretation. Worst faith interpretation is probably he was signaling to other racists, I'm on your team, and then denying it. Which is something that, like, is very common with, like, alt-right figures or, like, racist people or anyone planning any sort of violent anything, is like, you send a few signals and then you go, you're acting crazy. Because in a vacuum, doing those salutes, it's like, yeah, there's nothing racist about moving your arm that way. No one gets hurt. No one is harmed, and nothing is said by doing it. But, like, if you look at all the contextual clues around it, it's like, well, things mean things. And he wasn't joking, obviously. And it wasn't like a performance piece or something. So there's no creative license there. He was at a victory rally celebrating victory. Some might even say hailing it. But yeah, dude, I just think, you know what I think? It's it's maybe concerning to me that none of his mates took it seriously, or because like you would hope that he didn't mean to do it. He did it twice. And then straight after he gets out on stage, someone fucking chews him out. Are you fucking serious, dude? Do you know how that's going to look? And then a statement is made. No, he wasn't doing that. He got too excited, blah, blah, blah. And it gets shut down. That isn't what happened. It was just... Oh, man. It was just treated as... my point is, I feel like it maybe should have been a bigger deal than it was. But hopefully... it's not a big deal at all. And maybe it doesn't matter. And it's just a fucking dumb thing that some very Asperger's billionaire did. I don't know. I just don't see a world where a media-trained public figure for the last fucking 2 decades, billionaire from South Africa, who would intimately understand apartheid and the culture of that, who is really invested in German politics, and loves inventing cars and engineering, and really cares about birth rates and demographics and white replacement rates with birth rates. It's hard to believe that you know a lot about all of those things, but you're not aware of what looks like a Nazi salute while you're performing at a political rally. You know what I mean? Like in a vacuum, it's like totally fine. And it's like, oh, whatever, he's a bit weird. But when you add in all the context, it's like, there's no fucking way that he didn't know what he was doing. And if he did it, and it was a joke, or it was a troll, that shouldn't happen at political rallies, right? Let's say it was, a lot of people going, he's just trolling, it was a joke. That shouldn't happen at political rallies, because that just normalizes the idea of doing fucking Nazi salutes. And then what does that open the doors to? You know what I mean? Like I feel like people, when it comes to politicians and things that they like, they too often throw context in the bin, right? When they're defending someone, it's all about, you're leaving out the context. Where's the context? But when they're when someone fucks up and they're defending them, they go, but if you look at it in a vacuum, it's totally fine. And like, yeah, in a vacuum, there's absolutely nothing wrong with touching your chest and throwing your hand up in a straightward motion like that salute. Like no one gets hurt. There's nothing inherently wrong with it. But when you look at the context of everything around it, including what that salute represented for so many people during the Holocaust, it's like, well, it's maybe a bit of an issue. It's worth going, don't you think? I don't know. Hopefully he's just fucking an idiot. Anyway, what else did I want to talk about here? What have I got? We've got okay. Have you seen this guy, the Goonicide, dude? I've been laughing about this fucking all week on Twitter, currently known as X, the everything app. This Goonicide guy. He's been this dude that showed up to, it's like this bikini coffee place where it's like drive-through coffee or something, and the girls are all in like skimpy outfits. This one guy shows up in his car, no pants on, right? And he pulls up, and of course the girl's filming on her phone. He pulls up and he's posing all sexy, but he's got no pants on. And then he just like looks to the left and does like a real smooth, like sexy, hey. And then realizes he's staring directly into a camera lens. Like he so clearly thought, this is his plan. You know, he's got no pants on. This is what he thought would happen. He'd turn around and be like, hey. And then the girl will be like, oh my God, is your dick and balls out? Can I get into the car with you and sit on that? And he would go, only if you bring a friend, darling. And then he'd drive off with a car full of women. That's what he thought was going to happen. You can just tell by the facial expression. But he turns around and goes, hey, and he's looking straight into a fucking iPhone 16 caught in 8K. And she's like, sir, you need to leave. And the terror on his face, he drives off immediately, right? That clip goes viral, and it is then revealed that the guy killed himself immediately. And this is, I need to be clear, he didn't, like, he did it before he was posted online. Like, could you, like, that's, talk about a bad day. You know, you think you're about to drive away with 5 women, you just drive off and shoot yourself in the fucking head. That's insane. Before he even went viral, I would argue that if he didn't kill himself, I wouldn't be talking about this on the podcast. It just would have been a viral clip, and he probably could have grown a beard and no one would recognize him in 5 years. You know? That's probably the good thing about Elon Musk doing Nazi salutes at rallies, is that when shit like that's going on, if you're going viral for shoplifting, who gives a fuck? You're going to be forgotten about. It's the news cycle's quick, buddy. Billionaires are signaling to Nazis at their fucking rallies. You're getting dunked on in a comment section? Who cares? But he drove away and he took himself out fucking immediately before he was posted. So just like, and that's the type of decisive action that we need more of. It's a shame that he's gone, because we need decision makers like that in our world. People that can make shit happen. You know what I mean? Fuck, you wake up in the morning, I'm going to go through a drive-through with my pants off and then shoot myself in the head if it goes wrong. That's a decision maker, and it's a loss to the world. You know? As most people who are suicidal go, oh, maybe I will, maybe I won't. You shouldn't. Well, maybe you know what? If you're the type of person to, like, show up to a drive-through with your fucking dick out, sexually assaulting chicks, maybe you should take yourself out. Cleans up the trash a bit. It's fucking crazy. And now, of course, he's just gone super viral. People aren't even calling it a suicide; they're calling it a Goonicide, because there's something so funny about a guy who's, like, so addicted to porn and has absolutely no idea what a woman's brain is like, that he actually thought that would charm anyone, or that would maybe work. Like, you can just tell if you look at his facial expression, he knows that this girl is going to love it. And he knows that without a shadow of a doubt in his mind. He knows that when she looks in to take his order and realizes that his soft cock is out, she's going to quit on the spot and get in his car. And then he quickly finds out immediately that he was 100% wrong. Fuck, dude. And then he's like, well, that's it. I'm going to check out. Immediately. No arming and ahhing. Just fucking took himself out immediately. And that's what really made him go viral. Like, whoa, what the fuck? This guy killed himself already. That's quick. Decision maker. And you search Goonicide now, and it's just all over Twitter, currently known as X. People are going to the fucking drive-through coffee shop that this guy was at and, like, filming their experience and reviewing the store. Some people are angry at the woman who filmed him. Why? The dude made the decision himself to take his pants off. Of course she should have filmed and posted it. Fuck that guy. It's sad that he took himself out. He shouldn't have done that. God rest his soul, but fucking hell, man. How else? What else is a woman supposed to do with a man like that? Just be like, oh, come back later, sir. Come back tomorrow. Because, if he's doing this shit, he would have done it to so many other people. And if this was his first time and nothing bad happened, he would have done it again. Maybe he would have gone further and actually hurt a woman. These are the type of social consequences that men should receive for fucking sexually assaulting chicks in quote-unquote physically harmless ways, right? That's what should happen to these dudes until it stops. It's a great thing. It's awful that he took himself out, but it's him getting posted is a great thing, because that's the type of social stigma and shame that dudes should cop when they do this type of stuff. I do feel sorry. He had a kid, man. That sucks. But, like, what really sucks about that is like, at some point, this kid who's very young is going to grow up and like, his dad's going to be on knowyourmeme.com as the Goonicide guy. You got to feel for those people because there are a lot of people who die in very funny ways, and it's not good that they died, and it's not funny that they died. But the method is sometimes humorous, and we can all acknowledge that. Like whenever something like this happens, I always think like, fuck. At some point, do you laugh? Like if you're personally connected to them, you gotta. If you've got a best mate or a husband or a wife that dies in a very funny way, at some point, obviously it'd be horrific for months, maybe even years, but one day you probably go, fucking idiot. Or like, dude, how did that even happen? Like, I always think about this one woman who was mauled to death by 7 sausage dogs. That's a real thing that happened to a woman. How the fuck do you get taken out by sausage dogs, dude? Stand up. She got savaged by 7 sausage dogs. Dying by alliteration is brutal. I'd be laughing at the funeral if that was my mum, to be honest. If my mum got taken out by 7 sausage dogs, I wouldn't be able to hold it together during the eulogy. I would have to laugh. 7 savage sausage dogs. It sounds like a Dr. Seuss book. You can't tell me that if it was your fucking, if it was your own child who got like taken out like that, you'd have a giggle. There's something funny about that. What other funny ways people have died? Goonicide, savaged by 7 sausage dogs. I'm trying to think. Funny ways people have died. I mean, there's Darwin Awards, right? People taking themselves out in dumb ways or doing something incredibly stupid. Fuck, man. I mean, the way the Trump shooter died, that's funny. He missed twice and then died. Basically, all that guy did is ensure that Trump won. Took 2 shots, and in that moment, Donald Trump won the election, and then his brains flew out the back of his ass. Like, that's quite funny. Anyway, we've got some emails here from people who've been emailing the show. We're going to keep doing the emails on the main episode on YouTube now because Spotify just put us on the trending page. Spotify's been growing a lot, so I'm pretty happy with that, and we'll keep the episodes long. All right, we've got our first email. We've got 2 emails, and then we're going to get out of here. So this one, mental health, cheating, and threesomes. What a delicious title. Hey, Lewis, longtime fan. My name is James. This is kind of a serious email, but I hope you and the listeners find some humor in it. I've been listening to your podcast for ages, and it always gives me a smile. It's gotten me through some rough times in my life and honestly made it so I could press through the day. Nice. I need some help with this story. At this point, I feel lost. I'm 19. I live in America. I'm pretty antisocial and don't have many friends at all. Also, my parents are not great. I don't really have a relationship with them anymore, so I turned to an Australian podcaster. Yeah, times are tough. My ex-girlfriend and I had been together for almost 5 years. We got together when we were 14 and we're both of our first. Wow, that's super young. It has been the most beautiful and important part of my life for a long time now. We started our relationship right before my parents moved for work, so almost 2 years of our relationship was long distance. That's tough. I turned 17 and moved back to my hometown. So what, you were together for a little bit and then from 15 to 17 you were long distance? I turned 17 and moved back to my hometown to be with her. I then spent a year living in a tent in the woods while building a small camper that we both moved into about 2 years ago. What the fuck? So you're homeless. What's a camper? I thought a camper was like a caravan type thing. Camper build. What is that? Yeah, camper van. Okay, so you live in a van. America rocks, dude. Building a small camper that we both moved into about 2 years ago. Everything's been great, but there's one problem. I cheated on her somewhere in the last year. while I was living in the tent while she was out of town. Brother, it couldn't be that good. There's no way tent pussy would be would be worth cheating on your girlfriend, dude. You can't be cheating on your girl for tent pussy, man. At least you gotta do like it. Even single bed pussy would be better than than like you be cold and wet and you fucked a girl in a sleeping bag, brother. That's not good. You can do better than that. I cheated on her somewhere in the year that I was living in the tent while she was out of town. You must be you're like, oh, what do you mean? I'm antisocial and I have no friends at all. You convinced a woman to fuck you in a tent, brother. You might be a bit of a savant when it comes to charisma. I couldn't do that. If I was a billionaire living in a tent, I couldn't convince a girl to come in to have sex with me. She'd be like, red flag. That guy's going to murder me. How the fuck did you swing that? Hey, girl, come back to my place, and you just don't tell her that you live in a tent, and then once she gets there, she's like, well, I'm here. I'm not about to walk 40 minutes out of the woods to get back to the road. What the fuck kind of low standards woman was following you back to a tent for a route? Everything was great. I cheated on her somewhere in the year that I was living in the tent and she was out of town. What do you mean out of town? Was she in like some kind of building, you know? Like you're in the tent, she's just next door in a fucking... with a roof over her head. It was the stupidest thing I've ever done. I was hurt, hungry for something different, and as a horny 17-year-old, I wasn't thinking. We were going through a bit of a rough patch as I had recently caught her cuddling with another guy. But it's inexcusable and I hate myself these days. I don't know, man. It sounds like a dumb 17-year-old mistake. It's nothing to hate yourself over. It seems like was also straying. Just seems like a dumb relationship thing. This seems like a fucking insane way that both of you are living. You can't be living in a tent, bro. After my girlfriend got back into town, I felt so bad, and somehow, don't ask me how, me, my ex, and this other girl... Who's your ex? Are you currently with this girl? No. Okay, so she is... Okay, so you, your girlfriend, and the girl you had sex with had a threesome. What the fuck? This guy's having 10 threesomes. This guy's getting 10 pussy left, right, and center. Dude, I think you're putting your social skills in the wrong place, man. You're not only are you getting pussy in a tent, you're getting 3 ways in a tent, brother. I think you've got low self-esteem for no reason. I couldn't get a single girl to come into a tent with me for a platonic conversation. You're getting 2 chicks in there at the same time to fuck each other? On a swag? That's insane. We were going through a bit of a rough patch as I had recently caught her cuddling another guy. After my girlfriend got back in town, I felt so bad, and somehow, don't ask me how, me, my girl, and this other girl had a threesome. My girlfriend didn't feel too good about it in the months following, and neither did I. I feel like I tried to make that happen so that maybe it would make my unfaithfulness right, but it didn't. Oh, so you cheated on your girlfriend, and then you swung a threesome with your girlfriend, the girl you cheated on her with, and your girlfriend didn't know. Yeah, that's not good, dude. That's not how you have that's not a productive threesome, all right? That's not... See, I've done threesomes before that have been great successes, and that's not how it's done. That's not... I didn't do it like that. And you know what? That's even forgetting about the fact that it happened in a tent. Like already, if you nailed everything, it was consensual, everyone was into each other, no one was pressured, no one cheated on someone secretly with the other one. If you did it all perfectly, but then the location was in a tent, it's cursed, and you've made a terrible mistake. I will even go as far to say that you should never have sex with a girl in a tent. Right? Maybe your girlfriend while camping, but if you live in the tent, you guys are not allowed to fuck until you figure out some other living situation. Like if you are living in a tent, you guys don't have time to have sex. You got to get to hustle it. You got to get out of that situation. Because the minute you start fucking in a tent, you've accepted that your life is good enough, and it's not good enough, mate. I want better for you. This guy's having threesomes in tents, bro. You might be the most charismatic man alive, or the most manipulative motherfucker ever. Which it sounds like you might be. After my girlfriend got back in town, I felt so. Oh, after a while, about a year, the guilt got too much for me, and I told her that I had cheated. It was one of the hardest things that I've ever done, but I felt that it was right. We had plans of building a life together, and it didn't feel right doing that with the guilt of cheating, knowing that it could all go away with a word. We stayed together for 2 more months before deciding, oh, I'm tired. We stayed together for 2 more months before deciding that the right thing to do was to split. Yeah, I think that's right. I feel like there is such a thing as settling down too young before you've experienced the world. Absolutely. That's clearly what's happened with you, dude. You can't, and also, you can't settle down in a tent. What's good about this is that it's a fucking hilarious story that if no matter who you tell, they'll be like, because if you tell someone you've had a threesome, right, they're like, what the fuck? Tell me everything. And that's a threesome that happened in a bed in a house. If you tell someone you had a threesome in a fucking tent, that people are going to be like, what the fuck's going on? That's a story. I feel like there is such a thing as settling down too young before you've experienced the world. It's fucked, man. I wish things could be different. I really love that girl. I honestly don't know what to do with myself. I know what you need to do. It's time to get a job and a house. I'm going to live in my truck and travel around for a while. Well, that's a start. But being an antisocial motherfucker has its downsides. What, like having threesomes in a tent? How are you antisocial and you're fucking 2 chicks, 1 tent? What are you, a shaman? Being an antisocial motherfucker has its downsides. This girl, my ex, was the only person I've ever been able to truly talk to, ever been able to completely show myself to. Everything I've done for the past years has almost just been for her. I don't know what to do with me. I'm a carpenter and a mechanic, so not at a loss for work, just any kind of motivation, and at a total loss for friends. I need someone in my life I can share with. But I don't know how to make meaningful relationships. My ex was the only one I've ever been able to truly talk to. And I just don't know what to do now that she's gone. I don't know what I'm living for anymore. Don't get me wrong, I'm glad we broke up. Okay, that's good. That shows growth. It wasn't meant to be. We're both different people with different goals and ambition, and I don't think we would have broken up without the cheating. So there's a silver lining, I guess. I feel like I'm kind of constantly on the edge of a mental breakdown if I let my mind slip. There's just so much guilt for what I did and hurting the girl I loved, and now I have no one left who really cares about me or vice versa. Hopefully you can shed some light on my situation. I could really use it at the moment. Sorry for the long email. If it's meandering, I'm quite out of it. I think you might benefit from a little bit of God in your life, dude. It's been very helpful for me. When you go through some awful things like this, and also when you personally fuck up as well, you know, a bit of forgiveness and repentance is good. Not any type of culty church type situation, but like a personal conversation between you and God can be quite helpful. This doesn't even have to mean church, but a bit of spirituality is good. Have a think about that, maybe. Maybe you don't have to become like a super religious man, but maybe open up your heart to the possibility of like a higher power and start that conversation. Just start listening. You don't even have to start talking. You don't even have to have full-on conversations, but maybe just like open up your heart a little bit, and listen. And you might start to hear some stuff. You might start to get a couple messages from the universe or God or whatever you want to call it. That can be quite helpful. Other than that, I know what you need, dude. a fucking mattress in a house that you rent. No, look, it sounds like you want to be a nomad for a bit, and I think that's cool. I think you're in a fucking really cool position, actually. If you reframe this, I think you're in a really cool position. You've made a big mistake. You know what happens when you fuck up. You know a weakness of you know your own weaknesses better, and you know how you want to treat people going forward. Right? I think if I were you, dude, if I was in the States, man, a country as big as that, and I had a skill that I could take different places like you do. You say you don't really need work and you can kind of move around a lot. Get a dog. Go to a pound and rescue a dog that needs you. Go to the pound, save a dog, chuck him in your truck, and fucking road trip for a year, you and your dog that you saved, and build a relationship with the dog and with God. Dog is God spelled backwards. And have that conversation and work on yourself. Read books about becoming the type of man that you want to become. Because this is the thing with you, dude. If you got bad relationship with your parents, I'm assuming you've never been taught how to be a man, how to be a good man. And being a good man is a verb. It's an action. A good man is not the absence of harm. It's a man that makes good decisions and decides not to do things that hurt others. Decides to do the more difficult thing that will benefit the world or himself over a longer term thing. That eschews short term gratification for long term payoff. It's what a good man is. It's a verb. It's a thing that you decide to do every day, and it's not easy. It's difficult. Right? A lot of people think that being a good man is just not hurting people, but that's a neutral observer. You're not evil if you don't do good, but you're not good. You know? I think you would really benefit from walking into a bookstore, going to like the fucking self-help personal development and section and spending like 20-30 minutes in a big good bookstore reading blurbs and titles of books and seeing what speaks to you, and seeing if there's something that you would like to learn, and then just buy a couple and fucking read them. Adopt a dog, go on the road, open up your soul a little bit to the possibility that maybe there's a higher power that has a bigger purpose for you, and see if anything starts speaking. And that higher purpose could be God. That higher purpose could be, fuck, I actually want to paint, or I want to be a personal trainer, or whatever it is. I feel like I truly believe that everyone has their one thing, that if you don't know what it is, you probably haven't come across it yet. Right? I always think about like, man, what if my mum never took me to the comedy festival when I was like 12, and I didn't see. Because comedy was always what was for me. But what if I was never exposed to it? What would I be doing? I'd probably be wandering around feeling like this guy, quite lost. Like, fuck, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. I know what you should be doing. You should be road tripping, you, your dog, and God, and trying things and trying to teach yourself how to be the type of man that your father was unable to be. That's my advice to you, is raise yourself, young man. You've made some mistakes. You feel terrible for it. And I know that's painful, and you wish you could go back in time and undo it, but you can't. We live in this reality. And here's a little counterpoint. I think it's good that you feel like shit for doing that. I think that's a great, admirable thing, to make a mistake when you're so young, and instead of reacting like, well, fuck you, I was angry at you and you did this and that's why and you know, you forced me and I'm upset, and or hiding it or whatever, you actually have a lot of empathy and sympathy, and you owned up to it and you told her. That's very admirable. And the fact that you feel like shit right now is okay, and it is fine, and you maybe you should feel like shit for a little bit. But when you make a mistake like that, you need to feel it, you need to accept it, and then you need to move on from it. If you hold on to it, it will fucking poison you from the inside out and ruin your life. Guilt is a big message from uh, whether it's God or an evolutionary thing or the universe or just you and your own conscience. It's a big signal. I don't like myself when I do that, right? And for it to go away, you just got to make a commitment to yourself. I'm going to act in this direction instead, you know? And if you start doing better, but you hold on to the guilt, you won't be able, because guilt is like, oh, fuck, I cheated on her and I really hurt her and that makes me feel like shit because I'm a cheater and I feel bad. And like, you should feel like that, but not forever. And the only way to stop feeling like that is to stop being like that. And you won't be able to stop being like that if you don't let go of the guilt because you feel that way because that's what you did. And you'll never become someone who didn't do that if you don't let go of the bad feeling that arose when you did it, because they're the same thing. The feeling and the action are linked. If you can't let go of the feeling, you won't properly be able to stop the action because you're constantly pulling yourself back into that feeling of how you felt right after you did it. And like, fuck, I'm that person. You have to let it, you have to accept it and see that it's like a consequence of acting in a way that you should not, that isn't you, that doesn't feel like you, that makes you feel bad, and you have to move forward. You need to learn to live in accordance with your own nature. There's a really good book that I'll recommend, Epictetus. His book is great. That was really helpful to me when I was going through it. And yeah, that's my advice, dude. That's what I think. I hope that's helpful to you. Anyway, do we have time for another email here? You know what? I'm calling it. I'm fucked. I'm tired. Next episode, I'm going to be a bit more lively because I've got about a week off shows. So I will talk to you guys next Sunday. I'm going to put the Patreon episode up tomorrow. I'll record that tomorrow because I am out of it now. But thanks very much for listening, and I hope you had a great day, and I hope you have a shit one. See you on Patreon. Bye.